All right, guys, what's going on? I hope you guys are well. So I've got the man here. He's not been on the channel for a few days, so I thought I'd get him on. Somehow there's been a big announcement, and we haven't got you on the channel since. Billy Joe Saunders will be taking on Canelo Alvarez. It's a fight which has got everyone excited. Many people have had their opinions about the fight. Canelo smashed Yildirim to bits in 3 rounds. I want to know what you make of this fight. I want to know what you think, what chance you give Saunders. I wanted your opinion about Lopez saying that Billy Joe Saunders is coming for a check, and he's not really coming to win. He's mentally not there. I've seen it. He goes, as Teofimo said, as a fighter, I can see that he's not coming. He's not coming to win. He's coming for that check. Tell me what you think about this whole situation with Canelo and so on.
Starting off with the Teofimo thing, I just think obviously he might have been seeing some of the, stuff that's maybe he thinks Billy Joe Saunders is the type of fighter that doesn't live the life. Some of the stuff he comes out with, but I personally feel that's just all mind games. I just think that's all mind games, but I just don't think that sort of. I don't think those mind games Canelo's going to really care about. He's a really cool, calm, collective guy. It's not going to really rattle him. You got to realize that he's obviously taken this is the biggest fight of Billy Joe. This is the biggest payday, first of all. Biggest fight, biggest challenge of his career. So why is he's of course going to take it seriously? Like, he got into boxing for fights like these. Like, anyone gets into boxing. Whether he's good enough, we'll see on the night. But you got to realize, I don't think he's going to be although whatever mind games he plays, I don't personally think that what I've seen so far, he's going to come to lay down. He might lose the fight, but I don't think he's going to come down. He's not going to take money to lay down. I don't think he's that type of fighter. I think he'll lay it all on the line. And what I mean by that, I don't mean he's going to go toe to toe, but I'm just saying that I think he will get carried out in a stretcher. I think he's that type of fighter. Everyone will have their opinion. I don't think Teofimo Lopez probably, rates Canelo that highly, where he feels no one will beat him.
Let me interject there. I just want to point out that I think Teofimo Lopez made those comments. He made those comments you can see with Michelle Joy Phelps from Behind the Gloves interview. He said that Billy Joe Saunders is going for the check. I don't believe he thinks he can win, and he said Canelo will knock him out in 6 rounds. I think Teofimo Lopez made those comments because Billy Joe Saunders made some comments about Teofimo Lopez, and I don't think a lot of you will know this, but I'll tell you. Billy Joe Saunders, before the Lomachenko fight, said Teofimo Lopez is a hype job and he has no chance of beating Lomachenko. This was an interview, I believe, with IFL TV. And I wouldn't be surprised that Teofimo Lopez has come across that interview, and now Teofimo Lopez is kind of getting his own back on Billy Joe Saunders by saying that he's going for the paycheck, because it's quite a disrespectful thing to say, because I don't really think that Teofimo knows Saunders like that. He was saying that I can see it in Billy Joe Saunders, the way he's acting, see it mentally as a fighter. I can see it. I don't know what he sees. Like, he's a fighter, and he's a very good fighter, Teofimo Lopez. He's beat the best pound for pound fighter in the world, but I think it's quite disrespectful to say Billy Joe Saunders will be going just for a paycheck. But I do think what I just told you there about Billy Joe Saunders saying that Teofimo Lopez was a hype job before the Lomachenko fight, and he's not going to stand a chance against Lomachenko, I think that has something to do with it, and I think that's why Lopez might have made those comments. And listen, I might be wrong. Maybe Lopez don't know anything about what Billy Joe Saunders said. But for some reason, the fact that he said what he said and how strongly he said it, I just think I definitely think he saw that interview. And I think he's probably getting his own back. But again, I don't know. This is just me speculating. So I don't want to, this is just me speculating. But I just think that why would you, if you don't know somebody that well, why would you make comment like that he's just going for the paycheck? Especially when the fight's not even happened yet. It could Lopez could be made to look like an idiot if Saunders comes and performs it's not about the fact that, listen, I think Canelo's going to beat Saunders, but it's the fact that, I think Lopez said something like that. I just found it a little bit strange. Yes, carry on. I just thought I'd let you guys know that I know this because before the Lomachenko-Lopez fight, I saw Billy Joe Saunders give that interview. And I think Teofimo saw that interview with Billy Joe Saunders, and I think he's getting his own back. But yeah.
Yeah, so in regards to the fight, what I think of it, I think it's a very live fight. I think obviously you got to realize that Canelo's obviously the favorite.
You think... I'm not giving Saunders much of a chance in terms of winning the fight. I think he'll have his moments, but I think Canelo wins. But Salman's a guy that actually believes Canelo can win. Saunders can win. And he's a guy that rates Billy Joe Saunders very highly. I've had my reservations about Saunders just because I don't think he's got a great resume. And I think I think the British public overrate him a little bit. But he rates him very highly. So let's see what he has to say.
Yeah, so obviously, what I believe that I think he has the style, in my opinion. But then again, we'll have to see. To beat someone like a Canelo, I don't think power intimidates Canelo.
Why do you think he has a style?
I think the style to trouble Canelo and to beat Canelo is going to be the one where, what's been shown before. We know that, Canelo is not really intimidated by power punches.
What style was give Canelo trouble?
So a slick style. So how Erislandy Lara showed.
Lara don't fight like Saunders. Lara fights completely different.
Well,
Lara doesn't move as much as Saunders. Lara's more static. He's got a great head movement. He doesn't waste as much energy as Saunders. Lara doesn't. Saunders, if you look at the way he fights, his fighting style is very energy consuming. He's moving around the ring a lot. That's taking up a lot of energy. If you look at Lara's style, he doesn't move around like that. And that in his style is not as energy consuming as Saunders. So for me personally, I think Saunders' style is actually going to be a detriment against Canelo. But that's my opinion. Go on, carry on.
Yeah, so I just feel that if Saunders is going to win this fight, it's going to have to be the jab and move style. The reason why I believe someone like Callum Smith lost, because he didn't do anything unique. He was just upright in there, throwing jab, 1-2. You don't beat fighters like that. You got to realize, in my opinion, from what I've seen of Saunders and from what I think he's going to do in the ring, he's going to make it a very awkward fight. And what I mean by awkward, feints. Using feet movement, in and out, angles, which is something that Callum Smith didn't do a lot of. Callum Smith had very slow feet. Yes, he had power, but it wasn't really landing because he didn't throw it with any sort of speed. He didn't have any angles behind his punches. It was a very basic fight, very slow-paced fight, right? Whereas the way you're going to beat Canelo isn't that style, being basic. The way you beat those guys is being awkward, being slick, everything that I think Billy Joe Saunders can do. But then again, he has to go out and prove it against Canelo, because we all know that Canelo, he's only lost to the best, and no one comes
to the best. He's just lost to one guy, and that guy
that's what I mean. Yeah. So that's what I'm trying to say. So at the end of the day, in this fight, Billy Joe has everything to prove. Canelo doesn't have anything to prove. For Canelo fans and for Canelo, this is just a standard guy that he's just going to walk through, Whereas Billy Joe needs to show how good he is. And is he going to be able to do that? To be honest, I personally think he's a type of fighter that will he rises to the occasion. So when there's a lot of people say this, but for example, although David Lemieux is a very limited fighter, right? But that was everyone said he was going to get knocked out in that fight. A lot of people said that he will definitely get knocked out. So I definitely believe he's a type of fighter that will definitely rise to the occasion. I'm not saying he's going to win the fight, but I believe he will definitely. I believe he will be one of the ones that will rise to the occasion, and we'll have to see. But that's just my opinion. But if you were to ask, who I would put my money on, if I was a betting man, if I was going to put my money on anyone out of the 160 or 168 pound division, I would put it on Saunders to beat Canelo.
I think personally, I think you rate Saunders too much. Personally, I think he's a good fighter, but let's be honest. For me, Lemieux was a very limited fight. I think his resume is very poor, and I don't think he's been prepared well enough for a fight of this magnitude. I don't think he's lived the life to beat someone like Canelo.
Maybe.
I think he blows up in weight. I think all of those things. Again, when you're going up against the best like Canelo, the preparation that he's had, the poor competition. I just don't feel you're going to beat Canelo that way. I just don't feel that you're going to jump up levels like he's going to do, 2-3 levels and beat someone. I don't look at Billy Joe Saunders and look at him like he's some kind of Sugar Ray Leonard or he's some kind of Marvin. He's definitely not Marvin Aguilar's not got his style. What I mean is, I don't look at Billy Joe Saunders. I look at Billy Joe Saunders. Yeah, he's a good fighter. That's it. He's a good fighter, and that's about it. He's not, for me, I don't look at Billy Joe Saunders and I don't think he's a special fighter. I don't think he's an Errol Spence. I don't think he's a Terence Crawford. I don't think he's that. So I don't think he's a Tyson Fury. I don't think he's a special. I think he's a good fighter. That's it. I don't look at Billy Joe Saunders and think he does anything exceptional. Yeah, he's got good defense. Yeah, he's got good movement. Yeah, he's got decent speed. But I don't look at anything that he does and think, wow, his defense, he's untouchable, right? I saw Andy Lee land several punches on him. I saw Chris Eubank land many blows on him. Now everyone's hyping Billy Joe Saunders up off one win against a guy in David Lemieux, who I believe would get smashed to bits against every world level guy at right now at 160 and 168. You tell me, right, if Andrade went in there with Lemieux, you honestly, who would you put your money on? Andrade or Lemieux?
Probably Andrade.
No. So yours Andrade. If Charlo fought Lemieux, who would you put your money on?
Charlo.
If Caleb Plant fought Lemieux, who would you put your money on?
Caleb Plant.
If Canelo fought Lemieux, who would you put your money on?
Canelo.
If Golovkin fought, well, obviously Golovkin beat the crap out of David Lemieux anyway. If David Benavidez fought Lemieux, who would you put your money on?
Yeah, but Lemieux's 160 and those guys are 168. So,
No. But beside the point, Canelo's now fighting Billy Joe at 168. Who would you put your money on?
But Benavidez.
Okay. So if Golovkin fought Lemieux, sorry, why am I keep saying Golovkin? Golovkin already beat Lemieux. If Derevyanchenko fought David Lemieux, who would you put your money on?
Probably Derevyanchenko.
Okay, if Danny Jacobs fought David Lemieux, who would you put your money on?
What, right now? Or?
No. The guy that fought Canelo and Golovkin, who would you put the guy Danny Jacobs that fought Canelo and Golovkin, who would you put your money on?
Probably Jacobs, but I think that would be a more competitive fight. I think Lemieux would be able to land on him a lot more.
Yeah, now, but because Jacobs looked like he crap in his last fight. But what I'm saying is, if we're hypothetically, you've just said all of the top names at the 160 and 168 pound division you picked against David Lemieux. So how do you rate David Lemieux? You rate him as a gatekeeper.
Yeah, but obviously Saunders doesn't rate that. He says that I don't really rate the David Lemieux fight as really.
Yeah, but that's what I'm saying.
Okay, like, he says it himself.
Okay. He doesn't rate him.
As a win.
Fair enough. Saunders doesn't class that. My point is, listen, I like Saunders, he's a good fighter. But at the end of the day, I just think that his resume is not great, and everybody hypes about that Lemieux fight. I'm not talking about Andy Lee and Chris Eubank, because those performances weren't that good. He had a split decision against Chris Eubank, and he had a majority decision against Andy Lee. If you go back and analyze those performances, they weren't that good. Like, imagine Canelo against Eubank. Imagine Canelo against Andy Lee. The fights don't go the distance, in my opinion. I don't think Eubank and Andy Lee are competitive with Canelo. Canelo's fought better men than these guys, and he's outschooled them and beat them. Right? I'm just saying, listen, at the end of the day, that's my take on it. I just don't. I think Billy Joe Saunders is poor resume and his lack of opponents is going to be a problem in this fight, because Canelo is very skilled, very good. The other thing you were mentioning about Canelo's power, and the fact upstairs you were mentioning off camera that you don't think Canelo's a beast in terms of power. That, who's he ever knocked out? Tell me about that.
So I just don't think at 160 or 168 that if like, for example, like, they keep going on like that, oh, he's got killer puncher and this, that, the other, but I don't feel at 160 or 168 he's that. I don't think he's going to render like a top level fighter unconscious or knock them out. I think if he's going to win, it's going to go the distance, like how we did against Smith, Jacobs, and in my opinion, I hold someone like a Billy Joe on that level. So I don't feel he's just going to go there and get steamrolled, as Teofimo Lopez said, in 6 rounds. I just don't believe it. I just don't believe that's possible. Unless Canelo lands an absolute peak shot, which could knock anyone out. Fair enough. But if he lands that shot, fair dues. But I just can't see. I can't see. I think if he is going to win, it's going to probably be on points. I can't see unless he slows him down and it's a TKO. But I don't see him rendering no one unconscious. I don't think he has that sort of. I don't think he has that sort of power at 160 or 168. Maybe he was knocking guys like James Kirkland out and Khan, smaller men, smaller weight classes, 154. This is 168 now. The guys are a lot bigger, they're more durable, And James Kirkland was no killer at 154. Which killer has he knocked unconscious? Canelo. Kovalev, but Kovalev's finished. He nearly got knocked out by Anthony Yarde, a British level fighter. So let's really be honest. Do you seriously think that this fight's going to be a stoppage if you analyze all those things? Which guy? I don't know. Is Billy Joe a British level fighter? Do you lot believe he's a British level fighter? Do you believe he's a European level fighter?
He's a world level fighter. Of course, he's.
So do you think Canelo will knock him out then if he's a world level fighter?
Yeah, I do. I do think. I think stylistically, this fight again. You keep talking about Smith. Smith at a certain point he's a lot bigger than Saunders. He's more will be able to absorb a lot more punishment than Saunders. Saunders isn't that big a dude. Canelo, Saunders is probably the out of all the 160.
I don't believe. What's his name? Saunders is going to get hit as much as Smith. He will get hit, but not as much as what Smith was. No chance.
I don't agree.
No way. Because if he gets hit like that, he's going to sleep. I'm telling you. I'm going to be honest. If Canelo's landing the same volume of shots on Billy Joe Saunders than he was against Callum Smith, Canelo will stop him in 8 rounds. Because, as you said, Callum Smith is a lot bigger than Billy Joe Saunders, so therefore he's able to absorb more shots. The only way Billy Joe Saunders wins this fight, if he takes less punishment in this fight. Because if Canelo starts teeing off on him, fight over. Because if it's target practice, a punch bag, I'll tell you during the fight if he's lost. I'll be able to tell you straight away within the first 8 rounds if that's happening. He's lost. Because that fight was very predictable, the Callum Smith fight. I was speaking to you from the 5th round that he's lost. Because I knew the way he was fighting, that style is not suitable for someone to beat someone like Canelo. You can't fight like that. If Billy Joe starts taking shots, his fight's over. Promise you. The only way he can win this fight is if he doesn't take as much punishment. He's going to take punishment. Canelo's a world-class fighter, but he has to take a lot less punishment than the other guys have. Because, Kovalev was able to absorb a lot of shots because he was a lot bigger. Billy Joe's not that big. Billy Joe has to rely on his reflexes and his skills, to not get as hit as much. Because if you get hit by Canelo, certainly those body shots that are going to cripple you, you're going to get knocked out. You have to be able to avoid them. Otherwise, Billy Joe gets knocked out as well. If the same sort of thing that happens with
Billy Joe. Do you see this fight playing out?
Because I can either see it in 2 ways. I can see it in 2 ways. Right, I either see a late stoppage for Canelo, and what I mean by that, Canelo will have that same sort of style he fought against Callum Smith, and he'll just blister him to the body, right? And then he'll slow him down in the later rounds and get a stoppage, right? Or Billy Joe's gonna outbox him to a points victory, right? But if I was gonna pick someone, I believe it's a 60-40 fight in Canelo, and that's because Canelo has power, and when you have that sort of power, you gotta give the guy favorite. But I'm going with Saunders. I think Saunders is gonna win. Although I believe that Canelo's a favorite, I think Billy Joe is gonna step up to the plate.
I think you're one of the few that is picking Saunders to win this fight.
I'm one of them.
I'm trying to envisage the fight in my head, and I've seen Saunders' fights. I can't see how Saunders. I'll listen. If Saunders manages to go the distance in this fight, I'd be impressed. Honestly, looking at Saunders' style, and I know everybody keeps saying about the Lara fight, Saunders ain't Lara. Saunders has a completely different style. As I mentioned to you earlier, Saunders has a more energy-consuming style. It's a more moving type of style. His style is reminiscent, right? And one of my guys recently been commenting on my channel, Billy French. You said, I was having a conversation with you yesterday. You said that, that Billy Joe Saunders is a very good fighter. I don't deny that he's a very good fighter. But for me, Billy Joe Saunders has a similar Billy Joe Saunders in this fight, in my opinion, is going to do what Khan was doing in the fight, moving around a lot. Lara wasn't moving around a lot. Lara's was subtle movement. It wasn't very energy consuming, right? Billy Joe Saunders' style, right, is very energy consuming. He moves around. He uses his legs and feet a lot. Khan was also using his legs and feet a lot. And Khan's attributes in his boxing career was his legs and his hand speed, of course. But his legs were his asset. He moved around a lot. That tires you down the stretch. Billy Joe Saunders has a similar style, but he's a southpaw. He's slicker. And yes, I'll give you that. Billy Joe has a better defense than Khan. Yeah, he does. He has... I don't think his offense is as dangerous as Khan. I don't think his offense...
Yeah, but the thing is with Khan, if you've got that good of an offense that how Khan had, that natural offense, your defense is naturally going to be weak. Because his offense was so good.
Exactly. Pacquiao didn't have the defense that even Billy has. But again, Khan wasn't a defensive fighter. He was more naturally offensive. So when you say Khan's defense, because Amir's offense was far better than Billy Joe's. He's a more aggressive fighter. He's a guy that's throwing punches. He's a guy that has a very offensive style like Khan is going to be open to punishment. Going to be open to taking punches. That's natural. Pacquiao got KO'd how many times in his career? Because he was very, very aggressive. Pacquiao was just a beast where it wasn't just the speed, it was the power. But what I was trying to point out is that he made Canelo miss a lot. And yes, I can see Saunders making Canelo miss, but I just think with Saunders' style, I think Saunders will tire. And I think Canelo will be tiring him by hitting him with body shots. Lemieux, unfortunately, just couldn't get to Saunders. He was so one-dimensional that Lemieux couldn't put a dent on Saunders. And to be honest, Saunders could have gone 50 rounds with Lemieux. He wouldn't have got tired.
I also believe that, if Canelo starts hitting Billy Joe to the body and it starts slowing his feet down, I think Billy Joe will get stopped as well, if that's the case. But I just believe that I don't think he'll be getting hit with the volume of body shots where that will happen. I think he'll be able to, although you say you can't move the thing, but I still believe that he'll be able to avoid a lot of body shots. He might get tired, he might start getting hit with more body shots down the stretch.
You know what they say
early on?
How to stop a moving target is smash the body. The body, like I said, the body's a lot harder to avoid. It's a lot harder to avoid punches, especially when a guy doesn't respect your power. Canelo doesn't respect Billy's power. So he's going to be... the head, right? To hit the head is very difficult. A moving target is very difficult. It's not easy to hit. Oh, no, especially a guy like Saunders that's looking to hit
Canelo's obviously isn't just going to be like, oh yeah, Billy just hit flush shots on me. He's not going to do that. He's going to obviously move his head. He's going to have good head movement. Billy Joe's not one of those type of fighters where you're just going to go and be like, yeah, you hit me and I'm just going to... Billy Joe can pop a little bit. He's not the lightest of punches,
but it's not enough. It's not enough punch power for Canelo to respect it. That's the problem. He's not going to respect that punch power. And people say, well, Billy's got enough pop. I don't think he has. I don't think Billy Joe Saunders was respecting. Canelo wasn't respecting he wasn't respecting things power. What's it, Jake? I think Canelo was gonna walk.
I'm not saying Billy Joe will beat, but I think like even the Lemieux fight,
Canelo was walking Kovalev down.
I personally feel that Billy Joe should have really stopped Lemieux. He busted Lemieux up in that fight. And
but you said that. You said that. You should have stopped him.
The thing
Golovkin stopped him.
Yeah, but obviously obviously what Billy Joe's excuse was that obviously, Dom Ingle was in the corner telling me, you're not, just back off and just...
Listen, he's not a power puncher, right?
No, he's not. Yeah,
he's not a power puncher. This guy's fought very poor competition. He hasn't even fought the best guys at 160 or 168, and he's got less than 50% KO ratio. This isn't a Marcus Maidano. This isn't a Golovkin. This isn't a guy with,
punch power.
He hasn't got that kind of punch power in around his weight classes. That's without question. This is a guy that's... like I said, Billy Joe Saunders isn't going to turn into a Maidana, Matisse, Golovkin, or he's not going to turn into a puncher overnight. So his best bet is to do what you're saying. But are you going with Saunders then?
Yeah, I'm just going to, although it probably sounds mad to you guys, but I just believe that, I don't know why, I just believe out of anyone, I just think it's written in the stars for Saunders to go in. He's not living the life. He's not doing anything. Like, I just believe that. I don't know why. I just have a feeling that, you know, he's going to go out there and do a job. Yeah, that's just what I believe. But let's just see, innit? But, you know, I could be wrong. I could be right. I don't know. But I just think that he can do it. With Avni Yildirim, I didn't give him a chance. With Callum Smith, I gave him a chance. I said I wouldn't be surprised if Callum Smith. But then I was wrong with that as well. So let's see. But I do give Billy Joe a shot. But let's see.
Leave your thoughts, guys. Let me know what you think in the comment section below. Are you giving Billy a shot? Or you think Canelo? It's going to be Canelo all the way. Leave your thoughts. Let me know what you think. And guys, remember to please like, share and subscribe to my channel. I'll see you all in the next video. Peace.